Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankin. It's going to be a very fun one today. We've got talking about Ed Harris movies. And of course, I can't do Ed Harris movies without PLD. PLD, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me on. I heard this was coming down. I got really excited. I went back into my Harris Dance list of 80 movies, and I'm ready to go.
And I have got Garth here. Garth, how's it going?
Great. Good to be part of this, especially with the honorable PLD, who is the fan of fans when it comes to Ed Harris.
It's true. Never mails in a performance.
And if you're watching from Call to Action, PLD is totally a thing.
I am a friend.
But yeah, how the show works is we're going to go around. Each person's going to throw out a movie they think belongs on a top 12 list, and then the other two people will say yes or no whether it belongs. And this is going to be a fun one for me because when this topic came up, I found out I'd only ever seen 4 movies starring Ed Harris. So throughout this week, I'd watched a good chunk of them and took it up to 15. So,
Great.
All right.
So,
Well,
yes,
let's educate everybody then. My problem is I've seen too many of them. I have 80, like I said, 80 of them. Cut them down.
I cut it down to 18 myself, yeah.
I threw 25 out. I threw 25 out on the top of my head.
But I'm going to throw it down to PLD for the first nomination.
The first nomination. Okay, well, as an action guy, and coming from Ben and Drew's show a lot, I got to go with The Rock, General Francis Hummel. Brilliant guy, brilliant role. One of the best, I could say villain in quotes because he's not a villain, he's a hero. He makes that movie. He actually legitimately makes a trashy 90s movie into almost with an Academy Award worthy performance, I think, honestly. That's how good it is. He elevates the whole role from a good trashy action movie to a fucking great trashy action movie. That's my first one.
Garth, what do you say about The Rock?
It was my number one as well. So I'm all for it. You're down there. We're up here. You know.
You want the wrong goddamn road, Commander. I could say like quotes the entire. I could say doing The Rock the entire time to make the whole the show worth it for me.
We'll go back and forth. I'll do the Connery part.
And with that, The Rock does make the list. This was one of the ones I have not had a chance to see. It's just not on any streaming services over here, and I didn't really want to illegally watch them as well either. So,
okay.
But Garth, we're going to throw it to you for the next nomination.
All right, and my next one is The Right Stuff from 1983. I really love this one. It's one of those ones I saw back when it came out. And it's a great story about the astronauts and what they went through and the dangers of being test pilots and becoming astronauts. And he just turns in a great performance. It's a great ensemble cast, and he's one of the top-notch ones.
PLD, what do you say about The Right Stuff?
It's a tough one for me, because I agree with Garth. This is like his real first breakout role. It's a very large ensemble cast. It's a long movie. It's a 3-hour movie. It's a very well done movie, and it's probably the first time he really made a stab at a true acting career. In my Harris Dance, I listed at number 20 though, only because I had a lot more fun with a lot of the other movies. This is not a very I wouldn't say it's a fun movie. It's hard to say because my initial thoughts is no for me, but I can't deny that a lot of people would have it on their top 12. But I'm going to say no.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to say no. I do like it. Right, I can see it coming right outside my top 12. I would if it gets on there. I'm not going to be upset at all. I'll tell you that much.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's not going to make the list. This is another one I just haven't got around to seeing.
First pitch. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I blame my streaming services for half of these. They should put more Ed Harris movies on, but yeah.
Absolutely.
For my first one, and this is one that I just really love. As soon as I see this is one I've watched probably many times. since it first came out, and that's the Truman Show. This is but I mean, I think it's probably number one on my Jim Carrey list too. But I just really love this with Truman just being in this world in which everyone's an actor and he doesn't really. I feel, if I remember rightly, Ed Harris is the sort of guy behind the scenes. But I think Ed Harris's performance in this is great, and I think it deserves a spot on this list. PLD, what do you say about the Truman Show?
I love the Truman Show. I get an automatic yes from me. Every time I watch this movie, I like it more and more. I hadn't watched it in like 10, 15 years, actually, when I went to the Harris-on, so I got a chance to watch it again, and I fell in love with it even more now than I did then. It's one of his Academy Award nominations, 1 out of his 4. It's well deserved. I think the scene where he's like scoring the scene, he's watching the whole movie play. He said, "Cue this up, sound up." That it's just a beautiful moment, and he's a great character playing the godlike role. It's really underrated at Harris, really, even though he got nominated. I don't hear people talking about it too much recently, but I think it's definitely on the list for me.
And with that does make the list. Garth, what would you have said about the Truman Show?
I agree. Yes, this was in my top ones, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but he actually won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, he did.
As Kristoff, and it's a wonderful role. Him basically being God, controlling weather and controlling his life and all that, and things. It's a nice, showing of like God's not really that in control. Your life is yours. You've got more free will than you think. It's not all fate. It's not all scripted. And it's a great role.
Agreed. Totally agree.
PLD, I'll go back to you for your next nomination.
Okay, this is one that I'm interested to see if it's going to make the list or not. It's one of my personal favorites, The Abyss, James Cameron. This is actually the movie that got me into Ed Harris. If you ever haven't, The Abyss is one of those movies that's been forgotten in the James Cameron catalog because it's gone between Aliens and Terminator 2, two of the most iconic films in genre film history. So The Abyss is like that. Oh, that's the other movie he made in between. But this is one of my favorite Ed Harris roles. He plays the everyman so convincingly. It's such a genuine truth. If you ever go back and see Action Movie Anatomy to the show, a review on it, and I got to call in, I told this story about how it was the most genuine performance I had seen when I was younger. That specifically, I don't want to get this too many spoilers if you haven't seen it, but the resuscitation scene when he brings it back to life, that actually got me into acting. I ended up being an actor in high school. I did some shows, and I went to college for theater for a while. Started really my love for performing him from this guttural, true, emotional performance at that point. It's definitely one of my favorites of all time. I love it so much.
Garth, what do you say about The Abyss?
Oh yeah, definitely on this one. This was another one that was on my list, and actually, fun story about this one. I was familiar. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. It's loosely based on the H.G. Wells short story from 1897 called "In the Abyss" about a sea alien. And so I when it came out, I was like, "This seems familiar," and then I found out, and so that it's one of those weird, it falls into the based on a book technically, but it's not really. It's very loosely,
right.
But it's a great movie and great role, and you believe that the characters I always have to Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio, and her name's a mess to me, but you believe their relationship, you believe they're a strange love, and they're this great couple.
You know what I love about that? I just thought about this the other day when I was thinking about the movie. It's one of the great. It's a stupid little moment for me, but it was a great use of comedy as exposition. When he comes in, he starts having this fight with her. He walks away. He's like, "I kind of hate that bitch." And I forget the character's name. The guy with the rat. He's like, "Well, you probably shouldn't have married her then." It was just it was a nice, funny way to get the story. Yep. Okay, so that's the relationship. It was a nice humorous way to do so. So good. So good.
And this is one I'm not actually sure if I've seen or not. So I don't remember it. But But fun fact, we just had a James Cameron exhibition at the museum in my city just recently. There was a few props from this, and got to see sort of a behind the scenes in making of this, which was really interesting. So that was fun here. But Garth, we go back to you for your next pick.
All right. Next on my list, I'm going to throw out National Treasure Book of Secrets. Am I going to get another no? This one I liked. I know it's a minor role, but he plays a heroic guy in the end. He gets in their way, then joins along with them. And spoilers if you haven't seen it, ultimately, being a good guy and sacrificing himself for them. And so I liked his role in this, antagonist turned ally. But it looks like PLD is not gonna.
It's funny you mentioned this. I will say that I remember watching this movie when it came out, and I loved Ed Harris, and I watched it, but I loved National Treasure also. So I was like waiting for it, like, oh, this is gonna be a great combination. And I wasn't a big fan of the movie the first time I saw it. Not Ed. It was more of the whatever, for whatever reason didn't hit me. I don't know if I was not in the right frame of mind, because I watched it again during the Harris stunts, and I liked it a whole lot better. Actually, me and Jarvie were talking, Jarvie in the chat there, and yes, I hit you up, Jarvie. We're all good now. I did say that he watched it again recently, and it's kind of similar to his role in The Rock in that it's a villainous role, but it's got heroic intentions. He just wants to clear his family's name. I mean, it's not like a bad thing. And he does some despicable things, yeah. But funny enough, it also stars Nick Cage. So there's a lot of similarities to it in a way. With that being said, I don't think I could put it in my top 12. It's definitely a fun movie, but there's a lot of more movies that I like better with him and his performances. Just for the record, on my Harris stunts, it's 41st out of 80.
Okay, then.
I like
it. Yeah, this is one that I watched for the first time in preparation for this list. Because I rewatched the first one. Also, just so I can sort of see it. Because I remember when I first saw the first National Treasure, I really didn't like it so much. I didn't want to couldn't be bothered to go to see the sequel. And the sequel's not that great. I would have said no. So I'm going to say no as well.
All right. Two pitches missed. All right.
It's fun. It's a fun. I will say if you like this, I like the first movie. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if you give into it, it can be a lot of fun. So I would say it's definitely a fun movie. Better performance.
All right. This is why I came up with extras.
Ed Harris is good in this movie. I'll say that. But
if you watch all 80 movies, you're not going to find a movie you're bad in. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'll go for my next pick is one that is a personal pick for me because this movie kind of when it came out has had mixed feelings. Some people really like it, some people don't. But I'm going to see how it goes, and it is of course Mother. This is one that I watched back when it first came out and thought this was an interesting movie. It's one that I didn't know what to think of it. I have rewatched it a couple times since then, but it's one of those ones that does have a lot of like Christian ideologies with this because they don't really have the characters don't really have a name. I think Ed Harris is credited as just man, woman and baby and all that, but it's an interesting movie, and I think it gives a different kind of side to Ed Harris that you don't often think. But yeah, PLD, what do you say about Mother?
Mother is a movie that most people I've talked to absolutely hate. They hate it so much. It's pretentious. I absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. I bought into the mythology. I love the metaphor of God, Mother Nature, the whole thing. Ed Harris basically playing Adam for the most part. Excuse me. But I will say I think I have to vote against it only because it's not as far as an Ed Harris movie goes, it's not. It does a nice side to him, but he's a little bit too minor of a role for me in this to make it like on my top 12. It's kind of a weird juxtaposition for me. I do love the film, but I don't know if I can put it in my top 12 Ed Harris movies per se. Sometimes there's movies like, for example, like Ed Harris movies. Just for an example, there's a movie called was it Masked and Anonymous from 2003, which I absolutely hated, by the way. That's number 80 on my 80 list. But he's only there for 2 seconds. Doesn't really make it an Ed Harris movie. I put on my Harris Dance for completist purposes. And for the record, Mother 16 on my Harris Dance list. So I actually do like the movie a lot, but I had to put just outside the top 12 for that reason.
Yep, no, that's totally fair. Garth, what do you say about Mother?
Well, as Paul said, a lot of people out there really hate this movie, and I'm one of them. I watched it once, and I will never revisit it. I was like, I don't get it. I understand the messages, the whole God, Adam and Eve, the devil. I see all that biblical stuff in there, but I just thought it was not for me. So I got to vote in there.
But anyway, we go back to PLD.
That's absolutely fair. Okay, next one for me. We have 3 that are guesses right now, I believe.
Yeah,
okay.
We have Rock, Truman Show, and Abyss.
I'm gonna throw out there. I gotta get strategic now. So many I want to make happen. I will throw out. I shouldn't say throw out because I mean I'm actually throwing it out. I will put forth Gone Baby Gone. Ben Affleck's directing. It's a great, on the strength of the one scene alone, where Casey Affleck and Ed Harris are talking about a scene where talking about time in Ed Harris' life as a cop where he planted evidence on a real scumbag who was basically beating his kid or neglecting his kid, and he's justifying it. He has this great little moment where like Casey Affleck just starts asking like, well, is that okay? Is it ethical to do? And he just like snaps. Fucking A. God, am I allowed to swear? I don't know. Sorry if I did.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. It's like he started going in there. You beat a child. You lost a child. You're not on my side. It's like this pure intensity. The greatest thing Ed's noted for is his intensity. When he gets going, watch out. And that scene. I mean, the whole movie's great. He's got this great little like I don't want to say cockiness to him, but he's got this very like, little bit of arrogance to him. He knows okay, he's been there before. You haven't. But it's a really a little bit of a darker role, but it's a very intense role. Again, he's a character that has good intentions. A lot of his characters I find are intense, and they're considered villains of the antagonists of the story, so to speak. But they have great intentions behind them. That's why he's a great person to play that role because he gives such depth to those characters. You almost want to root for him a little bit. Some of them more than others, but you might not want to root for exactly what he's doing. But you're like, yeah, I get it. And this is one of those roles for me. I love this movie.
Garth, what do you say about Gone Baby Gone?
This wasn't in my top 12, but I do like it. It was like lower down, like maybe 18 for me. But I do like it enough. I will say yes. We've only got 3 so far, so.
And this is one that I saw for the first time for this, and I loved it. Would have been yes for me as well.
Perfect.
Garth, we go back to you.
All right. Next on my list, see if I can get one on the list, is A History of Violence. I like those sounds. This one, I was a fan of the comics. I'm a comics nerd, and so I like this adaptation of it. And David Cronenberg directing it is a unique choice. Wouldn't have thought him in a million years to direct the comics. And technically a DC Comics movie, interestingly. But I really liked his villainous role in this, all scarred up and menacing and coming in and screwing up the guy's life. And it's one I really love, and I love Ed Harris as a villain and being very menacingly. But from the sounds, it looks like it won't make it. So,
yeah, I mean, this is like this for me simply, this is one I just never got around to. It's one that I've heard so much about, and that one that I've always wanted to see. Just didn't get time this weekend to sort of see it. I've watched a lot of movies. PLD, what do you say about History of Violence?
I'm going to surprise you, Garth. I'm all for it. I love this movie. I think it's a great movie. I mean, it goes against everything I said about Ed Harris as like giving depth to roles. He's pure evil in this one.
Yeah.
But he is very menacing, very gruff, and him and Viggo have a great a chemistry here. Although I guess chemistry might be the wrong word because they're on your side of the fence, but they work off each other very well. So I like everything about this movie, from the darkness to it, the grittiness. You can tell, like, even if you didn't know it was a comic book movie, you could kind of tell in a way, like just the way it was. I don't want to say it was drawn because that really sounds like a bad pun, but just the way that the scenes were set up, it kind of looks like a graphic novel as it goes along. I feel like, but yeah, he's great in this. Where he really is menacing. He's scary, very scary. The eye, the gritty, the scars. He really just leans into it. I love the scene of dying. He's just like, I forget what what Viggo's character's name is. What is it? He says his name though a couple of times, like
okay. In this, Viggo is Tom Stahl.
Right, and but his real name is like Jack or Jimmy or something like that. Or he keeps like telling me their names. No, come on, Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy.
Yeah,
it just keeps going and needles him. Love it. That's my favorites.
So he brings up his real name. He was Joey Cusack.
That was it, Joey. That's what I was trying to remember.
Joey Cusack of the Irish Mob, and but yeah, that first diner scene, he comes in and just throws his life out of whack.
What's up, Joey? Come on, Joey. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to bring up one that that I'm worried that could end up falling off if it doesn't come up any earlier. But it's just that it hasn't come up yet, and we've gone through a few rounds. And that's Apollo 13. This is one that I thought would have been one that gets thrown out early, but this is one in which I broke my rules and kind of had to find it online, because this is one that wasn't on any streaming services, and one that I knew was going to come up and I'll get shit for not seeing, most likely. But I really enjoyed this. Like, everyone's great, and I think Ed Harris is perfect in this as well. But PLD, what do you say about Apollo 13?
It's his first Academy Award nomination, so I can't argue with that at all. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite roles from him as well. I'll say yes. I mean, he's got some most quotable moments in the movie, even though he's like definitely a supporting role, and that's what he's nominated for. But that's that you're here, we got to get here. Failure is not an option. And the only line, excuse me, sir, I think it's gonna be our finest hour. Like, he just is the epitome of like strong, not quite silent, but leadership that's dignified and inspiring. And he does an amazing job at this role. Comes off really well. This is one of my, I wholeheartedly agree with you on this. Make it so.
Garth, what would you have said about Apollo 13?
Oh yeah, this one all the way. This is at the top of my list. And as I wrote it down, white team flight director Gene Kranz. He's really great in the role. Similar to Christoph in the Truman Show, he's running a lot of the show and making sure things go okay and trying to get things under control. But things aren't in control, and things go out of control. And what do you do? So I like that role for him again. And as Paul said, nominated for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe, and a lot of other people nominated. It was a great movie overall, and he's a great part in it.
I will say also number 2 out of 3 in the NASA Chronicles for Ed Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the right stuff. He got Apollo 13, and the one that people don't really realize sometimes is Gravity, because he's the voice in Gravity.
Yeah, isn't he uncredited for that one?
Yeah, I don't know if I actually got credit or not. Now I think about it, but I'm pretty sure he's called the voice. But
he's the voice, but I think it's like, if you look at the IMDb group, it's like uncredited.
It might be. But I knew. I was sitting there going, "That's fucking Ed Harris." I know that voice.
but yeah, it's Matt's number one. With Stardew needling that.
Matt, I gotta say, Armageddon would be a little better if Ed Harris in it somewhere. That's all I gotta say. But I love it.
And they needed Aerosmith tunes. That's right.
And the Aerosmith too. That's right. Ed Harris could have been the Billy Bob Thornton role. There you go.
Yeah.
But PLD, what's your next nomination?
All right, I gotta throw this one out there. Definitely for me. Others, I gotta say, there's a couple I want to throw out there. One, I'm pretty sure is not going to make the list, but it's one of my favorites. But I gotta throw this one out here. I gotta throw Pollock out there. His Academy Award directed. It's the labor of love. It's Ed Harris's favorite, his own personal journey. He went like 10 years, a decade, trying to get this movie made. He ends up writing it, directing it, acting in it, gets an Oscar nomination for it, for his only leading Oscar nomination. He embodies the role so much. The only negative you can say about the film is some people say it's a little bit too much of a slow burn, but it's because it's such a genuine story. It's not supposed to be exciting and fun. It's a slow descent into alcoholism but genius and total torture genius. And he just does a wonderful job. Him and Marcia Gay
Harden.
Thank you. I was going to go Hank Garden. Perfectly cast together. They work so well together. It's one of my favorite roles of his of all time, and I can't, especially considering that's if you have to have the Ed Harris movie, he wrote, directed, and starred in it. So that's the big one for me.
Garth, what do you say about Pollock?
Yes, this was on near the top of my list as well. As an artist, personally, it holds a thing for me. I actually have never been a fan of Pollock's art, but I love his story and the strife he went through and his tragic end. And this was, as Paul said, this is a work of love. It's based on a biography of Jackson Pollock, and Ed Harris took it and made it his own. And
learned to paint. He actually spent time learning to paint for it.
Yeah, and he nominated for an Academy Award. He lost, but Marcia Gay Harden won for Best Supporting Actress as Pollock's wife. And it's a wonderfully made movie and gives you a good insight into an artist's life. And I can relate to a lot of it, and I love it. I say yes, yeah.
But Garth, what's the next? I haven't seen it, but yeah, Garth, what's the next one that you're going to throw out there?
All right, the next one I'm going to go for is I'm going to go with another one that's written, produced, and directed by Ed Harris, and that's Appaloosa. He plays Virgil Cole. It's a nice Western set in the 1800s, and it's actually based on a book that I loved by Robert B. Parker, not the Schmodown guy, who wrote all the Spencer novels that I grew up loving, back in the day. And so this was another one based on a book where I loved the book and loved this adaptation of it. And his role has a lot of depth to it, and it's one that he wrote, produced, directed, and it's him and Viggo Mortensen again. Sorry, Viggo Mortensen again, and so I really like this one.
Yeah, this is one that I did actually try to find for this. I just couldn't, so I haven't seen it. PLD, what do you say about Appaloosa?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I know John Roque actually talked about it with me recently about how it's a real true old school Western type of movie. I loved it as well. I thought, again, from the history of violence, like Ed and Viggo had a great chemistry in this one as well. It was a great dynamic too. I love the scene where they introduce themselves to the henchman. I like that he shoots him down, and you have I forget the actor's name now, but the guy was in Harry Potter and everything else. He comes in, he's like looks at him, and I just kind of clean his gun. I warned him. It was just so perfectly made. Again, it's his second directorial effort. Only two so far. He's actually working on a third. Hopefully, that's going to come out in the next couple years. But it's great. And another little known fact, which I'll throw in there, I'll sprinkle. He actually sings the end credits song. He wrote and sings the end credits song. So Ed does a lot of Western type roles. He's a good cowboy character, and this is a very. I will say it's not as intense as you think it is. I mean, it's intense at times, but he actually has some humor in it as well. It's a great character. It's definitely a different character than you expect him to be. But I enjoy it quite a bit. So I would say yeah.
And he's used a lot. You know, he's he comes in as this guy. I'm going to save your town, and I'm going to be this hero, and then things go downhill for him, and he gets used and abused and cheated on and everything, and it's like things don't go well for him. I mean, it ends okay, but you know what I'm saying is it's not him coming in being the hero and everything goes great. It's a great character story.
Great.
And as one of the bad guys, Lance Henriksen is also wonderful in it.
Good call.
And after looking this up, Timothy Spall is the guy you're thinking of.
That's him.
But for my next pick, I'm going to bring up A Beautiful Mind. I think this is a great biopic of John Nash with Russell Crowe just coming into his own and as the lead, and even Ed Harris's role in this is really good. Just him, the dynamics he has in the movie. And this is one I think I've gone back to a few times since it's been out. So I remember this is the year it came out. This is the first movie I went to on my birthday, so got a little bit of place in my heart. But we'll see what happens. PLD, what do you say about A Beautiful Mind?
This is a good one. It's kind of like I'm looking at the list now. We got 8 now already.
Yep.
I feel like we got so many good.
We got The Rock, The Truman Show, The Abyss, Gone Baby Gone, History of Violence, Apollo 13, Pollock, and Appaloosa.
I'm looking over my list now. I'm looking at what we have and we don't have. Now, that's the only reason I would say no. And I'm not saying no yet. I'm going to talk myself through this. The only reason I'm saying I'm not going to say yes immediately is because it's definitely on the bottom of the 12 for me if it was to make it. It is a great movie. There's Billy Belford. He's got to come in as a troll, man. I knew he would. It's a good role for Ed Harris. His intensity matches up with I'm forgetting every actor's name except Ed Harris. See, you talk about Ed Harris, and you're blinding me. I know his name.
Are you looking for Russell Crowe? Or?
Yes, Russell Crowe is it. I'm picturing in my mind. I'm like, I want to say John Nash, but I'm trying to say the actor's name. Yeah. Russell Crowe, I think, matches up very well with him. I do love this movie quite a bit. I have a feeling Garth's going to say yes, so I'll say no just to assuage my own self at this point. So I'm going to say no. I will say no, but it's a barely.
Well, guess what?
You're going to say no?
This one's just below.
Oh, I'm going to feel so guilty now that it's not on there. Damn it, I was counting on you, Garth. That's okay. That's okay.
Don't put this on me. Don't you put that on me. But yeah, there are other ones I want to see get on the list. So I might regret this later, actually, though, because we've got 4 more to go.
I know. I might regret this one later too. I might.
I've got other ones, like it's 14 on my list, but I already had some say no to. So technically, it's in my top 12 now.
It's 14th on my Harris-Dons list as well. Just saying.
Yeah, so 14th on mine, but since some of mine were said no to, I will say yes to this. It might be.
You're gonna say yes. Okay.
12. So
see, Billy makes a good point in the chat there too. It's one of those movies where Ed Harris isn't in it quite as much,
and have other ones go on in its place, that aren't as good. So.
Like I said, Billy said that it's not. It's less of Ed Harris movie. He's not in it as much as.
Yeah, exactly, and he's not even really there.
Right. So that's. So it is what it is, and yes,
Belford guy, but but it's still
The Harris Dons is a thing, Billy. Just so it is a thing. I made it a thing. So.
but
Yeah,
that-
very hesitant. Yes, from me.
Okay, all right. I'm happy. I'm happy it's there. Let's put it that way. I'm happy.
Yeah, if I said no and then later something else got on that I was like,
it's always those regrets that creep up a lot of time on rankings. But Paul, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Wait, me? Is it me you're saying? Oh,
Yeah.
me again. Okay. There's a couple I want to throw out there. We got, let's see. Just Cause, Snowpiercer.
free to go.
There's a couple I have in mind that I have to put on there, so I just got to figure out where I'm going to put them. Then one of the ones I want to bring up, he's not in very much, but it's a fucking great movie. I have a feeling one of you might bring it up, so I'm going to put this one. This is probably my most controversial. I know a lot of people don't remember the movie. A lot of people don't like the movie. A lot of people say it's a mediocre movie. I love Ed Harris in it, though. Just Cause. From 1995, I believe it is. It stars, a lot of people don't remember the movie. Sean Connery, Blair Underwood, and it's Ed Harris. And it's kind of like, I will get some of the criticisms for it because it's a little bit of Silence of the Lambs retake. Ed Harris basically plays an insane serial killer in prison. And Blair Underwood is another person who is accused of murder. And Sean Connery is a detective, or he works, not a detective, but he ended up working on the case. And he has to interview Ed Harris in jail. And he has only like 2 or 3 scenes, but man, are they intense, crazy scenes like you've never seen before. You just look up Ed Harris scenes on YouTube, do yourself a favor and do it. It's really intense. One of my favorite scenes in his career. So I'm going to vote for Just Cause. Even if you guys don't say it, I have to at least put it out there. So there it is.
Is Malcolm frozen? It looks. Oh.
I did freeze a little bit, but Gav, what do you say about Just Cause?
Well, I have seen Just Cause, and here the funny thing I noted about Just Cause is that it's him and Sean Connery with prison scenes. It's another The Rock connection.
That's right.
But for the top 12, I gotta say no on this one myself.
I figured you would. I didn't figure this one wasn't going to make it. I just had to talk about it. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. Bring up the ones you love, like I've been doing. So.
Yeah, but I've got to say no to this. I just haven't seen Just Cause.
I think it's a fun movie. Did you find out? I think it's a good movie. You should take a look. You like it? Did you like it, Garth? You like the movie?
It's okay, but I wouldn't put it in the Ed Harris. I mean, he's good in it, but it's a small. It's.
Oh, it is. It's definitely a small role. I'm not going to lie, but it's just the intensity of that small role. It's kind of like, I mean, How long was Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs? It's that type of role for me. It's like that kind of like it's not on screen very much, but when he's on screen, he makes it happen.
Yeah, he's commanding as usual in his role. It's just the overall movie, the plot of it, and all that. And
fair enough, completely fair enough.
But yeah, Garth, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right, let's see here. This time I'm going to go with Enemy at the Gates. This one, I really loved him as a villain again. He's a expert sniper, and he is scary as heck in this. You've got these other snipers, and they're like, he's sent in. He teaches snipers. And he's sent in by the Russians and the Germans. Sorry, Germans to take out the Russian snipers.
Right.
And he's just a very scary, intimidating thing, and cold and calculating, and he waits for his prey, and he'll aim at a certain spot ahead of them, and it's a great role for him, and overall, it's a great movie to begin with. And I really liked him in it.
This was literally going to be the next one I was going to bring up, so it's a yes. Paul, what you said about Enemy of the Gates?
I love Enemy of the Gates. I don't know if I would have said yes or no. It's one of those, it's like A Beautiful Mind for me. It's a great movie, only because we have only the few slots left. I do love the movie. It's a very underrated film. Nobody ever talks about it, I feel, or at least they don't talk about it enough, I feel. He's got this very cold affect to him in the movie. It's not the same type of. Ed Harris usually does these very intense type roles, and this one's not as intense. But he's just a good sniper. He's good at what he does. He's almost perfect at what he does, and it doesn't bother him. Like nothing bothers him. He's just kind of like, I'm going to do my thing. This is what I have to do, and it's a very cool as a cucumber move sequence. So I like it because it's very anti or whatever opposite of what he usually does. Or not usually does, opposite what he does, he's more known for. Jude Law is also great in it, so they make a great opposite cat and mouse sequences there. But yeah, so I'm not upset it's on the list at all. It's not something I'm going to be upset. I won't like rage against it, but it probably would have barely been on the outside for me. But I'm all happy for that. That's good.
But yeah, it's back to me. And we've only got 2 spots left. So I'm gonna. I know this one's been coming up so much in the chat, so I'm gonna bring it out because it is on my list. It is one that I was going to pick up at some stage, and that's Snowpiercer. Bong Joon-ho. This is a great movie. And Ed Harris, although he doesn't appear in it a lot, but he does. He is in this movie, and he does have a great performance as well. But this is one that is pretty scary because it's pretty kind of feel like what's going on now for everyone being just confined in one location, just so much, and it's kind of scary for everyone getting cooped up and everything that can happen being stuck in a singular area. But yeah, Paul, what do you say about Snowpiercer?
This is actually the one I was just talking about when I was trying to make my last one. I was weighing what to put because again, it's a movie that he's only at the end. So it's not. I don't know if I can call it really much of a big Ed Harris movie, but he is great in it, and it is a phenomenal movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the decade. Chris Evans is wonderful in it. It's hard to say, but I love the fact that it is very present. I feel like Ed Harris is a very Trumpian type character, except for more intelligent. He does a great job with the little time he does have, and it is a phenomenal movie that people should go back to see if they haven't seen it. And I know a lot of people have gone back. A lot of people who missed it have definitely gone back after this year's Oscars to find other Bong Joon-ho movies, and I do love it. I wonder if Garth's going to say. It's one of the things I want to say no to, only because it's Ed Harris and he's not in it as much. But I will say, yeah, I'll give it a yes because it's that good. That's that good of a movie. So, absolutely.
Garth, what do you say about Snowpiercer?
This was my next choice. So yes. Once again, as a comics nerd, I love the comics it's based on. And it's a good adaptation. They made some changes, but of course they always do. But yeah, as Wilford, the creator and caretaker of the engine, he has a very menacing role. And once again, we get into the Truman Show and Apollo, where he's playing another godlike character, trying to keep, this is the last of humanity on this train. This is it. And he's keeping control. He's saying, okay, you're the lower class, you're the middle class, you're the, and he's trying to keep things in control, and he's willing to sacrifice to make ends meet, kill people, eat them if you have to survive, etc. And so once again, he's playing this godlike role. and knows that he's trying to keep things in control, but he can't always keep things in control. And it's a very good role for him, and it's a small role compared to Chris Evans and everyone else, but it's pivotal. And I'd also like to mention, if you've never seen it, there's a fun fan theory that his character Wilford is actually the little kid Charlie in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yep.
And there's some great videos out there, pointing out all the points of him taking on the Wilford Wonka name and W's on everything, etc.
Yeah. But we've only got one spot left. Paul, can you fill that last spot?
Oh God, there's so many that I actually do want to throw in there. Looking over a few that I have left in this list. I mean, there's Knight Rider, which is great. Jackknife with Robert De Niro was a phenomenal film. Buffalo Soldiers with Joaquin Phoenix is up there for me. Great comedic timing on that one. I'm trying to think. I know Billy's already mentioned it a few times. Yes, I do love Kodachrome. A lot of people don't like Kodachrome. I thought he was phenomenal in Kodachrome with Jason Sudeikis. Dead Alex saying Radio. Radio is Cuba Gooding Jr. definitely goes full soloist. If you know if ever see action movie anatomy, he was a little too far with it. Ed Harris is great as the coach in that though, but I have to deny that one for myself.
Yeah,
good one though.
Thinking of a line from Tropic.
Yeah, from Tropic Thunder, exactly the same type of thing. That's why we changed it to full soloist. That's what I did. And I made it make it a little more genteel, so to speak. So I would think of Kodachrome possibly. I'm down to two. There's two that I really want to mention that I have to think of. It's down to me. It's either going to be The Hours, which is an Academy Award performance by him, or Academy Award nominated performance by him, or it's going to be Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a master class of acting. So I think I have to go with Glengarry Glen Ross because it was more earlier in my Ed Harris views. That's really kind of base it on him. He is in a master class performance with master class actors, Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino. It's so good. It's so mammoth. It's one of the most mammoth movies I've ever seen. if you know who Mammoth is. And he's got the most mammoth role, the bullet fire dialogue, intensity. I know Alec Baldwin's known for the closer speech in there. That's what the movie's best known for. But I love Ed Harris' role just as much as Alec Baldwin's in that. So I can't deny, as much as The Hours is a beautiful role, Glengarry Glen Ross is what I'm going to throw out there.
Garth, what do you say about Glengarry Glen Ross?
I say yes. This was my next pick. And this one it's a really wonderful ensemble movie, and as he said, it's mammoth to the fullest. It's based on his 1984 Pulitzer Prize winning play, and so it's right. It's definitely, like, you can see it while watching it. It's definitely a stage play put on film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's these men in this room and doing these, and every actor in their own role is superb. There's no bad roles. There's no bad, that guy's not very good. Everyone is brilliant. Al Pacino won or was Oscar nominee for Best Supporting. Sorry. And it's just a really great, you've got those pivotal lines, the always be closing.
Yep.
And
what about Unleash?
Yeah.
Right.
No coffee. Coffee for closing. So it's a brilliant movie and a brilliant ensemble, and Ed Harris is part of that, and he's great in his role. And so yeah, definite yes for me.
Glengarry Glen Ross was one of his bigger movies that I just haven't got around to seeing. But that being said, that does close up the list portion. We still got to rank them, but just to recap what has made the list, we've got The Rock, The Truman Show, The Abyss, Gone Baby Gone, A History of Violence, Apollo 13, Pollock, Appaloosa, A Beautiful Mind, Enemy at the Gates, Snowpiercer, and Glengarry Glen Ross. It's a good mix of roles. PLD, did you have any honorable mentions?
We're going to throw on honorable mentions. I would throw the list real quick that I had. I would definitely, like I said, I would throw Kodachrome in there. I would definitely throw The Hours, which is a Academy Award performance where he was up against, I shouldn't say up against, because he's playing across from Meryl Streep, and one of the greatest actresses of our time, and he knocks it out of the park and like stands toe to toe with her. That's phenomenal. Buffalo Soldiers with Joaquin Phoenix is a different role for him. It's a comedic role. He plays an incompetent military guy, which is actually very funny to see. It's hard to imagine unless you see it, but it's really the dark satire movie. It's phenomenal. State of Grace, a great movie with Gary Oldman. Ed Harris is the Irish mafia, and he's brothers with Gary Oldman. Such a great. He's not exactly in control, but he's got this reckless state to him. I think Last Full Measure just came out. That was good. Also very good. And Sweetwater is one that's not well known. That's their cowboy movie, but he's a really wonky character in that. But it's a very fun character. It's like a very off the rails type of character, something he doesn't quite get to play very often. I'd throw that out there. Again, Knight Riders, Walker's another good one. And I will finally say, I know I'm saying every movie he's ever been in pretty much, but then Jackknife is the last one I'll say, with him and Robert De Niro when he plays an alcoholic character. I can't remember. I think he got Golden Globe nominated for that, I believe, as well. I'm not positive on that one, but he's really, really, he steals some scenes from Robert De Niro, which is hard to do in the 80s. Nowadays, not so much, but in the 80s, it was harder to do. So,
Garth, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I've got a few. The Firm, he's FBI agent Wayne Tarrant, and he's part of what gets Tom Cruise into, he's part of a pivotal role in the movie with The Firm and everything going bad. And I like it overall as a movie, based on the John Grisham book. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Another honorable mention is Needful Things, based on the Stephen King book, as Sheriff Pangborn. This is a Max von Sydow movie. Let's face it, he's the star and main. But Ed Harris is really great in it, and it's a movie. It's one of those Stephen King adaptations I like. There's not many of those. And then I've got two that were brought up before, Just Cause and Gone Baby Gone. So the last one I have is Copying Beethoven.
Oh yes,
where he plays Beethoven at the end of his life. He's deaf, he's not writing things well, and a woman comes along and helps him out. And it's just a very interesting character study, and another, like Pollock, it's another interesting artist role for him, and he dives deep into the role.
Oh, that scene at the end when he actually is conducting. Oh, wow, so good.
And for me, there wasn't really a lot, but what I've got on here that wasn't mentioned, I did enjoy him in Pain and Gain.
Yeah, he's great in that, actually. Yeah, absolutely.
Walls Don't Apply is a fun one from him. I also really enjoyed Geostorm. I know not a lot of people do, but he's good there. So is Jerry B. And That's What I Am is another one that I think is a fun movie with Randy Orton in there. But yeah, but now time to get to the fun part of actually ranking them. So how to rank them is we write down what we want at number 12, and then each slot going on. And then whichever one has the most votes becomes 12, and etc. Okay. I've already got mine written down. It was relatively easy for me.
So number 12?
Yep.
Okay, let me do number 12. Let me look at this list real quick again. You're not gonna be able to read my writing, just so you know. So I'll have to just speak it probably. So, but I got it.
It's all good.
All right.
But I'm gonna go first, just because he's not in it that much. I went Snowpiercer. Paul.
I went with Enemy at the Gates. I did love it. Outside something like Enemy Gates.
With Gone Baby Gone.
Oh.
So we go to the chat. So what do you think should be 12? We've got Snowpiercer, Enemy at the Gates and Gone Baby Gone.
What?
So yeah, I'll just wait. The first comment I see is what's sort of going to decide it. So, but otherwise, I will have to
Looks like it's Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer then.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Stardrew saying "Gone Baby Gone," but which was the first one that came through.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Right away. Okay.
So "Gone Baby Gone" is just sneaks into 12.
Okay. Okay.
But now we're on to 11, which is pretty easy for me because I didn't change from Snowpiercer.
I'm not going to change from any of the gates either. So
Out of these, let's see. I'll go with Snowpiercer too. I love the movie, but you're right. It's a brilliant role, but he is, just not in it that much. So.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I guess I get to sit here and don't do anything because my number 10 is still there to be the gates for me in number 10. So eventually I'll get there, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna keep Enemy at the Gates, huh?
I will at this point. It's my number 12. I love the movie. I love it. So, but it's just against these other ones. And Billy, I could go all day. There's still some I didn't mention. There's still some I didn't mention that would make top 12 for me. Or not top 12, at least I should honorably mention. Way Back, for example, not the Ben Affleck movie. Another Way Back movie this decade.
but
Your first post.
But Paul's got Enemy at the Gates. Garth, what do you have for 10?
Just so we can get it over with, Enemy at the Gates.
Enemy at the Gates, okay.
Just because it's the one that I've not seen, I went with Appaloosa, but Enemy at the Gates is going to be 10.
Fair enough. Okay, I got to start writing again now. Okay. 9. Jeez, what am I 9? Dan Allen doesn't like Appaloosa, does he? I see that. I see you out there, Dan. I do. I get it. That's okay. So it's an interesting take, but
yeah. But I mean, I've got Appaloosa for 9. But Paul, what do you have?
Beautiful Mind. Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
And a Beautiful Mind.
There we go. There we go. Andrew Guy would be very upset at me for that. I'll tell you that because he loves Beautiful Mind.
It's a great movie. It's just his particular work. This is an Ed Harris.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones we've had this discussion, I think, so many times when we've had an actors list is like, and I don't actually know why I erased my board, but
okay.
You change your mind.
Let me see. I'm not quite done yet. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do it. I'll do Appaloosa there. That's what I'll do there. That's fine with that.
My mind doesn't even. Okay.
What did you have there? Come on, tell us what you did have.
Do I have to?
Yes, tell us.
I mean,
it was Gone Baby Gone.
Okay.
But okay, so Appaloosa is number 8.
Also, Gone Baby Gone's at number 12.
We already had it at number 12, so you can't put it down.
Oh, never mind.
We're really making Dan mad. Sorry, Dan.
Sorry.
I'll talk to Harris and do more afterwards, Dan. We can talk about it. I love it. I mean, I love all these movies. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Paul will put out a full hour-long video about how this top 12 is totally wrong.
I might be doing my. I'm probably doing the edit of the Harris Stone's Adventure and PLD projects when I get around to it.
All right. For number 7, just because I don't remember if I've seen it or not, The Abyss.
Okay.
Paul, what do you have for 7?
I am going to say History of Violence there.
All right.
Garth.
And I went with Pollock myself.
So if we go back to you, chat, we've got Pollock, The Abyss, and A History of Violence. The first comment I see will be what decides it.
I think Dan's mad enough. He's not going to play anymore.
It's all up to you, Stardew.
I mean, we've still got Stardew in here, and
That's true.
apparently, I mean, we've got 5 people actually watching, so
They're just staying silent in their anger.
Looks like I have the other one that's a little behind in snow. It looks like Dan's going to go with The Abyss. It looks like.
Oh, Belford. Belford.
That one hurts.
But the Abyss. Yeah, if I don't see your comment up here, it takes a little bit of delay before it actually makes it through to StreamYard. So
Send the abyss into the abyss. As he
Done.
All right.
Oh man, what do we got left?
This hurts.
Still thinking. Still, this is getting hard.
Yeah, as we get to the top of the list, it gets harder.
All right. I piss people off. I know I'm alone here, probably, but I'll do it anyway. Apollo 13 gonna go there for me.
Garth, what do you have?
Sticking with Pollock.
But yeah, Paul would
Oh wait,
stick with
you know what? Yeah, I just screwed up earlier. I'm not going to Apollo 13. I'm still sticking with History of Violence. Fuck that. I'm an idiot. Too much Jack Daniels for me.
I was literally about to say it's like he changed his mind from the movie. But History of Violence is going to be 6.
Oh, sneaking it back. All right. I see how it is.
Probably try to cross things off. Like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Billy, these are all my children, pretty much.
Yes. Sophie's choice for Paul.
Well, I guess you know what my next one is. I'm not going to make it a hit. It's going to be Apollo 13. Put out the Apollo 13 for me for number 5. Dan's asking what's left. We got The Rock, The Truman Show, Apollo 13, Pollock, and Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yep.
Billy, I can't actually quote that out loud because one of my kids is right here, so I can't say that.
Not true at all. No,
I do not love Ed Harris's films more than I love my kids. I cannot say that.
But Paul is sticking with Apollo 13.
I'm sticking with Apollo 13.
What do you have for 5?
Same. Pollock.
And I got Glengarry Glen Ross.
Back to the chat on this one. Okay.
So chat, Glengarry Glen Ross, Pollock, or Apollo 13. I'm pretty sure I know what the one that's not going to be picked.
Looks like Dan Allen.
Glengarry Glen Ross is going to be
You got more votes for Pollock.
next. And actually, there is more votes for Pollock. I'll go for this one. Yeah, this is a case of I know Dan was first in, but we've got more votes for Pollock in this case.
It's your show. You're the judge and jury, as far as I know. So
You're the
So yeah, I mean, this is a case I'm going to go with the majority because the other sort of cases I've only sort of seen the one vote or different ones for this. This is the first time that the chat has been sort of
and they are pointing out that he said Pollock back at like
he did actually a couple minutes ago. That's true. Okay. All right. We'll go with Pollock. That's fine. That's fine.
But and I mean, let's put it this way, top 5 is not bad for it either. So.
Not at all. Not at all.
No bad ones. Yeah.
But
now we go to 4.
No, it's tough.
Apollo 13 still. I'm holding on to that since like number 7, I think. So, second with Apollo 13.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Glengarry Glen Ross.
So it comes down to me, huh?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Drum roll.
Apollo 13. Wow. Okay. All right. Might be a few right. Number 4, you can't argue that. You can't say that.
Not really.
Screw that. Everyone else saying Glengarry Glen Ross.
You can't argue that, he says to the internet.
But on to number 3, which I'm sticking with Glengarry Glen Ross.
I will say Glengarry Glen Ross as well.
All right, I won't even write it out. I'll Glengarry Glen Ross for number 3.
And this time instead of put out number 2, we're going to write out number 1 down. It's good. Just because the other one becomes it by default anyway. So
right. So number 1.
It's going to get interesting.
Which, if anyone has paid attention to what I said sort of at the start of the show, should know what I'm going for anyway.
Star Drew's very upset. Very upset. All right. I'm ready. Everybody else ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Rock.
The Rock.
The Truman Show. But I mean, The Rock is one that I have always wanted to see, but it's just never been sort of streaming or on TV much. But it's one that I'm going to try and see at some stage.
I will say the Truman Show is actually probably a better overall film than The Rock, but Ed Harris's role as General Hummel is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Harris role, I think, at this point. And Billy Apollo 13 too.
Yeah, The Rock was number 1 on my list, so I gotta go with that.
You know, it's not. That's actually a hot take. I think a lot of people love the Truman Show and Ed Harris's role in it. I do know that it's not a bad take though, because Apollo 13's Ed Harris is really great in that. So I can see Billy's point. I'm not gonna. I troll him because I troll him, but he's not. That's not that bad of a take. So,
but just to recap our top 12. At number 12, we've got Gone Baby Gone. At 11, we've got Snowpiercer. At Enemy at the Gates, we've got at 10. At 9, we've got A Beautiful Mind. At 8, we've got Appaloosa. At 7, we've got The Abyss. At 6, we've got History of Violence. At 5, we've got Pollock. At 4, we've got Apollo 13. At 3, we've got Glengarry Glen Ross. At 2, we've got The Truman Show. And number 1, Ed Harris movie, we've got The Rock.
I feel like I can go back to the action industries guys and be okay. If I went back to The Rock, they'd be very mad. They'd be very upset.
But yeah,
they'll still let you run the Patreon.
Hope so.
But,
I agree, Stranger. That hurts. The Abyss number 7 does hurt me a little bit. Hurts my soul just a touch.
But anyway, but Paul, where can people find you online?
At Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. I'm Call to Action. Actually, tonight, maybe even now, maybe even started now, we're doing the Call to Action 2-year anniversary party. We're going to go on for probably like 5 hours. Maybe we're just going to keep going and drinking and having fun. So come find me there. And Chill to Action is my Monday night show with them. And finally, also, I did recently open up a YouTube channel myself called PLD Projects. Right now I do a Star Wars show and a show about V, which I love. It's one of my favorite TV shows growing up. And I will be doing the Harris Dance eventually on there, as well as other filmographies and oeuvres. And of course, action industries here and there too. Class Action. I should throw that too. Class Action tomorrow night. We're going live for the first time, 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m., 2 a.m. Eastern. Myself and Richard Jarvie, alongside special guest Rachel Silvestrini, and PJ Campbell, and we're going to be ranking the View Askew universe movies. So that should be a lot of fun. Thank you.
And Garth, where can people find you online?
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say I love the VTV series too. It was goofy fun, and watching her eat that gerbil, bad effects, but still
The
fun.
throat part was great though. Like eating was bad, but it actually went down to the throat. That was actually kind of good.
Yeah, it had some good. And Freddy Krueger is a nice, nice guy.
Yeah.
So Robert Englund. But anyways, so that's a fun watch, and PLD is putting out some good videos, and Call to Action, obviously, I'm a fan of. And you can find Garth McMurray at Twitter and Facebook, and Garth_McMurray at Instagram. See some of my comics art and stuff there. Don't post on Instagram much, but there's a lot of stuff already up.
Sweet.
And you can also spot me in various fan leagues of movie trivia and shows like this, the Rank 'em and other shows.
Before I go into my plugs, the poll is open on the Tape 3 page for what you want the topic to be for next week. And it's looking like there is one that's going to be sort of overwhelming there, but it could change by tomorrow. So, and also the week after that is one that there's not going to be a poll. It's the week of my birthday, so I'm just doing the executive decision, and I'm going to do. Actually, it's supposed to be episodes. So I'm going to do top 12 Glee episodes.
Okay.
I didn't realize I put songs, but never mind. Because I know it's been majorly requested, mainly from Cameron Holzman, but I know a few other people that will want to be on that show. But it's my birthday, and I can do what I want. So
to pull a Malcolm, I actually haven't seen that.
Look, I try not to say that too much. It just, I mean, yeah. No, I know. You'll be surprised the amount of people that use it really bad towards me, but they're more. But you can find me on Tape 3 hosting Rankum every week. You can also find me hosting Late Night. It will be on this week. I'm cooking up a surprise to try and figure out something to do. It might just be a stream of randomness because there's no really main topic that we can do. But you can also find me in the fan leagues hosting Full Metal Random, and this week on Full Metal Random is a Parks and Recreation match featuring Jay Burns, and he's taking on Adelaide Spence and Nat Fu. Both you can see on Call to Action. So it's going to be fun, and I might even try to get a special guest on the desk for that. But see what happens there. And until next week, keep listing shit.
Oh, I guess we're done.
We're still live. We're still live. I don't think we can actually end the video. I think he has to end the video. So I guess we'll vamp here until he can make it back. Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back.
He signed.
I thought we were going to have to vamp for like 12 hours because we can't end the video.
I wanted to